So I have a lot of different systems that I don't use, and I buy them that are because they're in beta and they're a chance for me to start testing things and learning what they do. I haven't gotten around to doing a lot of them yet, actually, and I have too many, but I see the potential. This one, however, most people are familiar with Stable Diffusion, and this is a really interesting technology. This is the newest version, I believe. And one of the primary issues that people ran into with it historically was its inability to properly articulate and represent hand structures. That has to do with the fact that hands are very difficult to understand and draw. I've met countless artists that this is a great deal of difficulty for them, and they are by no means untalented. They are absolutely the opposite. And they do it, but it's a struggle. Let's see what we can do here, though. Please generate, or no, I don't even say please. Sorry, I'm just being polite. Hands clasp, clasp. There, I can't spell. There. Just do it this way. Oh, clasp. Wow. Okay. Let's do, because I'm a nerd, let's do anime. Actually, no, let's not. Let's be genuine here. Let's do cinematic. Photographic works. Excuse me. Let's see if they really solve this issue. This, by the way, for the one I got, it's $9 a month if you pay for a year. All right, let's look here. Nope. So this either is not the latest upgrade, which it very well could be, or it is and they didn't solve the problem whatsoever, because that is quite disturbing. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's go ahead here really quick, and then let's find some stuff out. Actually, let's go to Perplexity. What is the latest version Also, another thing that I use a lot, I use Dolly to generate images for posts. You have to understand how to construct that correctly. You have to understand how to do prompt engineering for it. That does take some work and practice. I would suggest now starting and literally working every single day to advance your prompt engineering skills. I don't know how long this will be useful. It may be useful a couple months. It may be useful for 2 years. But I personally think you're looking more at 3 to 6 months of prompt engineering, maintaining a strong control in the market. But the reality of the matter being is that you need to be learning now as if you were taking 21 to 24 credits a day, or 20, in school, taking that many credits of classes. You have to be pushing that hard if you want to stay ahead. And if you can't learn at that rate, then you have to utilize principles like in the book Essentialism, or what's the other book? Make It Stick. Make It Stick is probably the better one. That's a book on education principles and which ones actually work and which ones actually don't, based off of the history of education. That was one of the very first books I read when I went on my journey of learning. And I did this intentionally. Every single book I read was extraordinarily strategic. I would do a lot of research and I would identify, I'm like, okay, what do I need to know to help me better understand my whole process? And one of the very first books I selected was, I think, Buddha's Brain, to help me control my emotional state. And then the other one that I read was Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And then I read Make It Stick. Make It Stick helped me understand that you're never going to be able to remember all the content from a given item. The way we learn through highlighting or rereading, things like that, are actually very useless mentalities, and rereading a text isn't going to help it stick anymore. They've found over and over. People are like, well, I didn't understand. I'm like, well, if you didn't understand, rereading it doesn't typically help. It's better to trust yourself to go through all of the content and pay attention to it. And then there's other things you can do. The best way to remember things, by the way, is flashcards. And then one of the best things that I've always done is I look for applications of anything I've learned in the real world, and I try to cross-pollinate these ideas to help them stick better in my brain. That's one thing that I've done. And then I only try to remember a minute percentage of anything that I read, because the brain, you can't remember everything per se. You can, but you have to understand there's huge flaws in overlearning. I've encountered this over and over. I have two examples of this. I'll bring in mind. Last week I was speaking with one of the leaders of Zapier, who's doing a lot of building and constructional content, and he illustrated to me this very elegant methodology for how to do posting. And then I showed him something I came up with, and he said they both accomplished the same task. And that's really what you have to understand is you have to think of the mentality of what really accomplishes the task versus my pride versus my knowledge. Not like don't build something just to build it. If you're an engineer like me, you want to create, you want to build things, it's fun, and you want to give people things, it's fun. But at the same time, you can't think that way because if you do, you're going to do what Elon Musk talks about, which is the process of creating stuff that never needed to exist. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, this isn't talking about the I guess the test model's still in beta because they just announced it the other day. I thought they had it out. No. Mm-hmm. There is one in beta. Well, okay. Is this for clip drop? Dream Studio. It's for freaking Dream Studio, and I just bought clip drop. I'm pissed. I got a lot, and then I have to return stuff. By the way, Perplexity, way better than Google. Hmm. Well, let's just find out. Let's just go here. Dream Studio. Okay. I am signed in already. So, handling. What do we do? Let's go with this. So we got. By the way, I love Stable Diffusion. Having used Midjourney, having used Stable Diffusion. What the poo? Huh. Why did. Oh, it's doing it based off of some previous system. I didn't get any previous uploads. So cinematic. So by the way, $10 buys you 1,000 credits. Why is it doing this? This is odditude for me. Oh, interesting. Let's see the settings here really quick. There we go. Broken. Broken. Okay. No solution yet. Got it. Here. Creepy as all poo.